Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a briefing on an extremely dangerous severe weather threat across the eastern coast. So the Storm Prediction Center today has issued a moderate risk of severe weather for far northeastern Tennessee, southeastern Kentucky, much of central northwest Virginia, northwestern North Carolina, the southeastern half of West Virginia, into central Maryland and southeastern Pennsylvania in the red. And this includes Baltimore and Washington, D.C., Roanoke, in the moderate risk. We have enhanced risk across portions of Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky, southeastern Ohio, northwestern West Virginia, central eastern Pennsylvania, southwestern New York State, western New Jersey, almost the rest of all of Maryland, and into all of Delaware in the orange, a massive enhanced risk, and a slight risk extending from the south through most of New York State, as well as portions of the Eastern Rockies and Plains, and a marginal risk from the Rockies through the Southern Plains through southwestern New England. So looking at today's tornado threat, we unfortunately now have a 10% chance of tornadoes touching down within 25 miles of location across the Appalachia mountain regions from Tennessee through eastern Kentucky, western Virginia, most of West Virginia into Maryland, southern Pennsylvania, and this includes major cities like Baltimore and Washington, D.C. And then we have Charleston, West Virginia in this 10% tornado risk today. 5% tornado risk from northern Georgia all the way through Pennsylvania, New York State, western New Jersey, including Philadelphia, Roanoke, Chattanooga, Scranton, and Binghamton. And then a 2% tornado risk from Alabama, Georgia through western New York State. We also have a 5% tornado risk across eastern Colorado, southwestern Nebraska, northwest Kansas in the Brown area, and a 2% tornado risk from the western Oklahoma Panhandle through western Kansas, southwest Nebraska, eastern Colorado in this green area. Make sure you're on guard for numerous tornadoes today if you live across the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, and have a tornado shelter plan, preparedness plan in place today, as we're going to be seeing several tornadoes, especially across the brown and yellow area today. But the main concern is the damaging wind risk. We have a massive 45% chance of damaging straight line winds of 58 miles per hour or stronger within 25 miles of location from northern Georgia, northwest South Carolina, the western two-thirds of North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, far eastern Kentucky, most of Virginia, central southeastern West Virginia, into southeast Pennsylvania, into most of Maryland, and even into western Delaware and New Jersey, including Chattanooga, Charlotte, Raleigh, Richmond, Roanoke, Charleston, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. You have about a 50-50 chance of seeing damaging straight line winds of 58 miles per hour stronger within 25 miles of a location today. So make sure you're preparing for a widespread damaging wind outbreak if you live across most of the Mid-Atlantic. And then in this hatched area, we could be seeing wind gusts of 75 miles per hour or stronger, and this includes the Baltimore and Washington, D.C. areas. So make sure you're on guard for numerous damaging, destructive wind gusts if you live across the hatched area today. Then we have a 30% wind risk from Alabama, Georgia, through the Carolinas, through southwest New York in the red, a 15% damaging wind risk in the yellow, up through northwest Pennsylvania and New York State, as well as across eastern Colorado, southwest Nebraska, western Kansas, and a 5% wind risk in the brown. And looking at the hail threat, the hail threat's going to be the most tame, as we only have a 15% chance of quarter-size hail or larger within 25 miles of a location in the yellow from the south through the Mid-Atlantic. And then we do have a significant hail threat across eastern Colorado, southwestern Nebraska, western Kansas, where we could be seeing golf ball to tennis ball to baseball to softball size hail today. So make sure you're parking your cars in the garage if you live in the Eastern Rockies, Western Plains, with a 5% large hail risk in the brown today. So we're going to be timing out the storms in this part of the video by already 9 a.m. Central American Time, or 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time, we're going to see storms breaking out across southern Ohio, western West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, and then these are going to evolve into a big line of storms as we go into around noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and this is when our dangerous, damaging wind threat is going to evolve. A derecho, I think, is going to occur, especially across Maryland, Virginia, down through Tennessee and North Carolina today, going into 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Massive line of storms producing destructive winds going into Virginia, western Maryland, western North Carolina. As we go into 5 o'clock Eastern Time, a humongous line from Alabama through Pennsylvania, with Boeing segments producing destructive wind gusts in around central Maryland and northern Virginia, going into 6 o'clock. Destructive windstorms blasting through Washington, D.C. and Baltimore into eastern Pennsylvania, central Virginia, western North Carolina. And then going into 7 and 8 o'clock in the evening, we're going to see the storms push through Raleigh into northwestern South Carolina, through New Jersey, southwestern New York State. And then, thankfully, the storms look like they're going to fall apart before reaching New York City around 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, while continuing across the Delmarva into most of Delaware, into southeastern portions of the Carolinas, producing damaging winds across, widespread damaging winds as well across those areas, before the storms move offshore by around 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time this evening. Now, this is a significant event, so we're going to be taking a look at the ingredients fueling this event. So first, we're taking a look at the 850 millibar winds, and this is going to be the lower level jet. This is what's going to fuel tornadoes. We're looking at an incredibly powerful lower level jet all across the Mid-Atlantic, with widespread winds between about 50 and 60 knots, about 1,000 feet above the surface. So incredible wind energy and spin to the atmosphere today with this storm event, with this low pressure moving through the Great Lakes. Tremendous amounts of wind energy. Looking at the instability, the Cape, by this afternoon, there's going to be anywhere between about 1,500 to about 3,000 joules per kilogram of Cape all across the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, and even in the Southeast, as much as 3,000 or 3,500 joules per kilogram of Cape. So incredible amounts of thunderstorm fuel for these storms to get going and maintain themselves for a long period of time. Like I said, this could fuel a derecho across much of the Mid-Atlantic through the evening. And then taking a look at the moisture, just incredible amounts of moisture in place across all of the East Coast, from the Carolinas through Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey. Dew points over 70, reaching 75 in some areas as the storms move through. Plenty of rich tropical moisture for these thunderstorms to work with. So if you live across anywhere from Georgia, Alabama, up through Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York State, and especially in this corridor from eastern Kentucky, northeast Tennessee, through Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, into southeast Pennsylvania, especially in the Baltimore and DC area, make sure you're preparing now for a severe weather outbreak and derecho today, and take this threat very seriously, as we rarely ever see this kind of severe weather threat in August across the Mid-Atlantic. Thanks for watching today's severe weather update. Please stay safe and have a wonderful day, my friends.